The first time I noticed something was wrong was when Tyrone started locking his office door. 10 years of marriage, and suddenly the man who'd leave his wallet lying around needed privacy. But I kept quiet and watched. That's what they never understood about me. I notice everything. My name is Jessica, and until 6 months ago, I was the loving wife who shared everything. My inheritance meant we lived well, and I made sure Tyrone and his sister Celeste never wanted for anything. Designer clothes, startup capital for his failed businesses, her emergency shopping sprees. I covered it all because that's what family does. Right? Jessie, honey, have you taken your medication? Tyrone's voice floated up from the kitchen, sweet as poison. I watched him through the reflection in my vanity mirror, standing at the bottom of the stairs with a glass of water and 2 small pills. Coming, dear. I kept my voice light, docile. The same voice I'd been practicing for months. The pills started 3 weeks ago. For your anxiety, he'd said, concerned eyes and gentle touches. Funny how my anxiety coincided with his late-night meetings with that private investigator I'd traced through our credit card statements. I walked downstairs, bare feet silent on the marble. Celeste was there too, perched at our kitchen island like she owned it. Maybe she thought she soon would. You're looking tired, Jess. Celeste's manicured hand touched my arm. Those headaches still bothering you? Headaches I never had, but she'd been telling everyone about them for weeks. Building the narrative, piece by piece. I'm fine. I took the pills, pretended to swallow. Just need some rest. Of course you do. Tyrone kissed my forehead. Dr. Nelson mentioned you seemed scattered at your last appointment. We're worried about you. Dr. Nelson, the psychiatrist they'd chosen, who somehow had appointments available exactly when Tyrone suggested them. The one who kept asking about my episodes. Episodes that only existed in the carefully crafted stories my husband and his sister fed him. I made you tea. Celeste pushed a steaming cup toward me. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. It never did anymore. I sipped it slowly, watching them exchange glances. The tea tasted bitter. New flavor, or something else? I'd have to ask Chloe, my housekeeper, to analyze it later. She was already collecting samples. Actually, Tyrone said, we should get ready. Dr. Nelson wanted to see you again today. Just a quick check-in. I noticed the packed overnight bag by the door. Noticed how Celeste's hand trembled slightly as she texted someone. Noticed the paper in Tyrone's back pocket. Looked legal, folded multiple times. Now? I made my voice shake. But I'm so tired. It's important, honey. His hand on my lower back, gentle but firm, leading me toward the door. Just a short visit, to help you feel better. I caught my reflection in the hallway mirror. Saw how they watched me, a predator's gaze masked by concern. 10 years of marriage, and I never thought it would end like this. But then again, maybe it wasn't ending at all. Maybe it was just beginning. It's kinder this way, my love, Tyrone whispered as we pulled up to the psychiatric facility. Modern building, high security, private entrance. Very expensive, very discreet. Perfect for making troublesome wives disappear. I let my hands shake as I signed the intake forms. Watched Tyrone's signature land next to mine. Husband authorizing treatment for his unstable wife. Celeste hovering nearby, already mentally spending my money. We'll visit tomorrow, she promised, squeezing my hand too tight. Once you're settled. I nodded, vulnerable and scared. Exactly what they expected. They didn't notice my other hand, the one in my pocket, pressing stop on the recording app. Didn't notice the slight smile as the nurse led me away. Poor Tyrone. Poor Celeste. They really should have paid more attention all those years. Should have noticed that the quiet, generous wife who funded their lifestyle was also the one who graduated top of her class in business law before we met. The one who spent years working in corporate strategy before retiring to play trophy wife. They thought they were writing the ending to my story. but I'd been writing theirs for months. As the facility doors closed behind me, I heard Celeste's laugh echo down the corridor. "Finally," she whispered to Tyrone, thinking I couldn't hear. "It's done." I smiled at the nurse and followed her to my room. Yes, it was done. But not the way they thought. Not even close. They still think I haven't noticed. Perfect. Tell me about these episodes, Jessica. Dr. Nelson leaned forward in his leather chair, pen poised over his notepad. 3 days into my voluntary stay, and he was already fishing for confirmation of Tyrone's stories. I twisted my hands in my lap, the perfect picture of anxiety. I get confused sometimes. Tyrone says I forget things. What kinds of things? Last week, I paused, letting my voice crack. I apparently accused him of stealing money. But that's crazy, right? He's my husband. He wouldn't. Dr. Nelson scribbled something. I'd planted the seed. Just enough doubt to make him curious, not enough to seem calculating. And these accusations, do they happen often? I don't know anymore. I wiped at fake tears. Sometimes I find bank statements, transfers I don't remember making. But Tyrone says that's normal, that I've always been bad with money. More writing. I noticed his frown deepen slightly. Back in my room, I pulled out the journal they'd allowed me to keep. Therapeutic writing, they called it. If only they knew what I was really documenting. A soft knock interrupted my writing. Chloe, my housekeeper, stood in the doorway with fresh towels. Her eyes darted to the security camera before she stepped inside. "Mrs. Bell asked me to bring these," she said loudly, then whispered, "They're going through your office. All of it." I nodded slightly. "Thank you, Chloe. How thoughtful of Celeste. I found something." Chloe busied herself with the towels. "A journal in your desk. Should I— What are you doing here?" Celeste's sharp voice cut through our conversation. She stood in the doorway, designer purse clutched tight. "Just delivering towels, ma'am." Chloe ducked her head and hurried out. Celeste watched her go, then turned to me with that plastic smile. "How are you feeling, Jess? Better?" "I think so." I hugged myself, fragile and small. "The medication makes everything fuzzy. That's good. You need rest." She sat on my bed, perfectly manicured hand patting my knee. "Tyrone and I are handling everything. The business, the accounts. Don't worry about a thing." 6 months ago, I would have missed the gleam in her eyes. But I'd been watching, learning. The day I found those emails to the private investigator, I started playing their game better than they ever could. "Celeste?" I made my voice small. "Why does everyone keep asking about Paris?" Her smile froze. "Paris?" In my confusion, I thought I saw tickets on Tyrone's desk for after. I let the sentence hang. "You must be mistaken." She stood quickly. "I should let you rest." After she left, I pulled out my phone, the basic one they'd allowed me to keep. The real one, with all the evidence, was safe with Morgan, my lawyer. "Got it," Chloe texted. "The journal is secure." I smiled. The journal they'd found was a fake, filled with exactly the kind of paranoid ramblings they'd expect from someone having a breakdown. The real records were elsewhere, gathering dust until the perfect moment. Dr. Nelson's afternoon session brought more probing questions. I played my part, confused, emotional, just unstable enough to justify their concerns. "Your husband mentions financial decisions that worried him," Dr. Nelson said carefully. "Like the wildlife sanctuary donations?" I twisted my wedding ring. "He said those were impulsive, but those animals needed help. Large sums of money, Jessica. I just wanted to do something good." I let my voice break. "Is that crazy?" He paused, studying me. "No, Jessica. That's not crazy at all." Later, a nurse brought my evening medication. I pretended to swallow, then watched her leave. Through my window, I could see Tyrone and Celeste in the parking lot, heads bent together over documents. My phone buzzed. Morgan. Trust paperwork filed. They won't find it until it's too late. Another buzz. Chloe. Either I help or I tell them everything. I stared at Chloe's message for a long moment. Then I typed, "Meet me tomorrow. Same time, with towels. We need to talk." Outside, Tyrone laughed at something Celeste said. They looked confident, victorious. They thought they had me right where they wanted me, confused, medicated, powerless. I touched the window glass, watching their reflection distort. Poor Chloe, thinking she had leverage. Poor Tyrone and Celeste, thinking they had won. Poor Dr. Nelson, caught in the middle of a game he didn't even know he was playing. I pulled out my journal again, but this time I wrote what I really felt. They think they're breaking me, but you can't break something that's already planned its own destruction and resurrection. The medication they thought I'd taken sat hidden in my pillowcase, joining the others. Evidence, like everything else. Every pill, every lie, every whispered plan in the parking lot. Piece by piece, their perfect plot was becoming my perfect weapon. "So you've been documenting everything?" Chloe whispered, hands trembling as she folded towels. We were in my room at the facility, security camera watching our every move. For months, I kept my voice low. The transfers, the meetings, the medication they started slipping into my tea. "They'll destroy me if I help you." Her eyes darted to the door. "They'll destroy you anyway." I touched her arm. "You know too much, but I can protect you." Before she could respond, Celeste swept in wearing a new designer dress, probably purchased with my credit card. "Chloe!" Celeste's voice dripped honey. "Perfect timing. We need to discuss your new position." I looked up, confused. This wasn't part of my plan. "I've hired Chloe as your live-in nurse," Celeste announced. "Once you're home, of course. For your recovery." My eyes met Chloe's. She gave an imperceptible nod. That's so thoughtful," I stammered, playing my part. After they left, I called Morgan from the patient phone in the hallway. "They're moving faster than we expected." "The trust is solid," Morgan assured me. "They can't touch it without triggering the clauses. How's the good doctor?" "Getting suspicious. Yesterday he asked about the timing of my episodes, how they all started after Tyrone's last business failed." "Perfect. Keep planting those seeds." Later that afternoon, Dr. Nelson called an unexpected session. He seemed agitated, shuffling papers on his desk. "Jessica, your husband provided some concerning financial records." He adjusted his glasses. "Large withdrawals, erratic spending." "You mean the wildlife sanctuary donations?" I wrapped my arms around myself. "Or Celeste's shopping sprees." He looked up sharply. "Celeste's?" "Oh." I covered my mouth. "I'm not supposed to—" "Tyrone says I get confused about who spends what." Dr. Nelson made a note, frowning. "These surveillance cameras your husband installed. When did that start?" "After I caught him in his office with those papers." I let my voice shake. "He said I imagined it, but—" More notes, more frowns. That evening, Chloe texted. "Celeste took me to her house, showing me where I'll stay. Found something in the wine cellar." I was about to respond when Tyrone visited, bringing flowers and that false concern I'd grown to hate. "The doctors say you're making progress," he said, not meeting my eyes. "Maybe you'll be home soon." "I miss our house," I said softly. "The garden, the wine cellar." His hand twitched. "The wine cellar's been locked for months. You know that." "Has it?" I blinked innocently. I get so confused these days. After he left, I received another text from Chloe. "Recording everything. She's down here now, talking about next week's transfer of financial power with someone on the phone." I smiled. Celeste always did her best plotting in that wine cellar. just like I'd predicted. The next morning, Dr. Nelson called Tyrone in for a joint session. I watched my husband squirm as the doctor asked pointed questions about timeline discrepancies. Your wife's supposed paranoid episodes, Dr. Nelson said. They all seem to coincide with large financial transactions from your joint accounts. She's sick, Tyrone insisted. She needs help. I just want to get better, I whispered, watching Dr. Nelson's expression soften with doubt. That afternoon, Morgan visited with paperwork, actually updates on our counter strategy. The trust is ironclad. The evidence is mounting. You're almost there. I nodded, then noticed Celeste lurking in the hallway. Perfect timing. I'm so scared, Morgan, I said loudly. What if they're right? What if I am crazy? Morgan played along beautifully, patting my hand while Celeste eavesdropped. Just focus on getting better. Let them handle everything else. Later, alone in my room, I reviewed Chloe's latest recording from the wine cellar. Celeste's voice came through clearly. Once the judge signs off next week, we'll have full control. She can rot in here while we live the life we deserve. I saved the file and sent it to Morgan. Then I lay back on my bed, counting cameras, counting pills, counting the hours until my carefully orchestrated destruction would begin. Through my window, I could see Tyrone and Celeste in the parking lot again. She was showing him something on her phone, probably more evidence of my instability. My own phone buzzed. Chloe. They're planning something for tomorrow. Should I be worried? I smiled and typed back, no, let them plan. Everything they do just adds another nail to their coffin. They thought they were so clever, orchestrating my downfall in whispered conversations and secret meetings. But every whisper was recorded, every meeting documented. Their arrogance made them careless, and I had learned long ago that the best revenge is served in silence, with a smile, and absolutely no mercy. The petition has been filed, Morgan announced during our daily visit. They're moving for complete financial control. Hearings set for next week. I nodded, watching the security camera's red light blink. Right on schedule. Did you bring what I asked for? Morgan pulled out a thick envelope. Your final directive, ready for signature. Are you sure about this? Absolutely. I took the papers, my hands steady despite the medication they thought I was taking. They want to play with legal documents? Let's play. Dr. Nelson interrupted us, knocking softly before entering. Jessica, do you feel up for a session? Morgan gathered her things, squeezing my hand before leaving. The doctor settled into the chair across from me, looking troubled. Your husband's lawyer submitted some concerning documentation today, he said, watching my reaction. I let my lip quiver. About my spending? Among other things. He leaned forward. Jessica, do you know what gaslighting is? I met his eyes. It's when you're the only one in the room who sees the match being struck, and everyone else insists it's already on fire. He blinked, caught off guard by my clarity. Before he could respond, Celeste burst in, perfectly timed as always. Doctor, thank goodness you're here. She clutched her designer handbag, eyes wide with manufactured concern. Jessica's been calling our house all morning, making threats. I haven't called anyone, I said softly. They took my phone days ago. Dr. Nelson frowned. Mrs. Bell, the facility logs all patient communications. There haven't been any calls today. Celeste faltered for just a moment. Well, perhaps it was yesterday. I can check those logs too, he said. I watched Celeste's mask slip slightly before she recovered. I must be mistaken about the timing, but she's been acting erratically. Haven't you, Jess? Later that evening, Chloe texted, found something in Tyrone's office. Old prenup copy. Celeste wants it gone. Let them take it, I replied. Morgan has the original. A commotion in the hallway drew my attention. Tyrone's voice, raised in anger. What do you mean, you're having doubts? I'm saying the evidence isn't consistent. Dr. Nelson's reply was firm. Your wife's behavior patterns don't match typical. She needs help. Are you refusing to help her? I pressed record on my phone, hidden beneath my pillow. Mr. Bell, I'm not refusing anything. I'm suggesting we review. Review what? The papers are filed. The hearing is set. You just need to testify about her condition. Her condition, Dr. Nelson said slowly, seems to manifest primarily when there are financial decisions to be made. Silence. Then Tyrone's voice, deadly quiet. Are you implying something, doctor? I smiled in the darkness of my room. Another crack in their perfect plan. The next morning, Chloe was caught. I found her snooping in your office, Celeste told Tyrone in the parking lot, unaware I could hear them through my cracked window. Going through the drawers. Did she take anything? I don't think so, but we need to be careful. She's too close to Jessica. Deal with it, Tyrone snapped. We're too close to let some housekeeper ruin everything. I immediately texted Chloe. Don't panic. Stick to the plan. Morgan has everything we need. During my afternoon session, I played my most convincing role yet. Dr. Nelson watched as I paced, wringing my hands. I keep having these dreams, I whispered. About the wine cellar. About Paris. Paris. Celeste keeps talking about Paris. After everything's done. But that's crazy, right? Why would she go to Paris with my money? He made another note. Jessica, would you say your relationship with your sister-in-law has always been complicated? She's family, I said, letting tears well up. Family takes care of each other. That's what Tyrone always said when she needed money. More notes, more frowns. That evening, I finalized my directive while watching Celeste's latest social media post, a designer shopping spree, tagged with new adventures coming soon, Shirk Paris, Shirm New Life. Morgan texted, everything's in place, the trust, the evidence, the recordings. Are you ready? I thought about Tyrone's whispered threats to Dr. Nelson, about Celeste's slipping mask, about Chloe's discovery in the wine cellar. Ready, I replied. Time to show them what crazy really looks like. I sealed the directive in its envelope, my signature still drying on the pages that would destroy their carefully constructed plan. They thought they were writing my ending. Instead, they'd written their own. Through my window, I watched Tyrone and Celeste leave the parking lot in separate cars. Tomorrow they'd return with their lawyers, their false concern, their practiced lies. But I had something they didn't. The truth, documented in their own words, actions, and greed. And truth, when wielded properly, cuts deeper than any lie. The day before the hearing, everything started unraveling. For them, not me. Where is it? Tyrone's voice echoed through the wine cellar. I watched through Chloe's hidden camera feed on my tablet. I had it right here. Celeste rifled through folders. The prenup copy. It was... You lost it? He slammed a wine bottle down. The hearing is tomorrow. We don't need it. We have everything else ready. And what about the good doctor? He's getting suspicious. I switched feeds to Dr. Nelson's office, where he was reviewing my file. His face showed exactly what I'd spent weeks cultivating: doubt. A knock at my door interrupted my viewing. Speak of the devil. Dr. Nelson entered, looking troubled. Jessica, I need to ask you something. He sat down heavily. These episodes your husband described. The erratic behavior. Am I crazy, doctor? I let my voice crack perfectly. That's not a term we use. He leaned forward. But I'm beginning to wonder if this evaluation is a mistake. Before I could respond, Celeste burst in, her designer dress wrinkled from searching the wine cellar. Doctor, thank goodness. She composed herself quickly. I need to discuss Jessica's post-treatment care. After tomorrow's hearing, we'll need to arrange... Post-treatment? Dr. Nelson's eyebrows rose. The hearing hasn't even. Well, obviously she'll need supervision while we handle her finances. Celeste's mask slipped. The Paris trip alone will require. Paris trip? Dr. Nelson looked between us. I meant the charitable donations to that Paris Wildlife Fund. Celeste backpedaled badly. With Jessica's card, of course, for her own good. I began to cry, soft and broken. Dr. Nelson handed me a tissue while Celeste shifted uncomfortably. Perhaps we should discuss this later, he said firmly. After they left, Chloe slipped in with fresh towels. They're falling apart, she whispered. Tyrone's drinking in his office. Celeste keeps making calls about selling your art collection. Good. I wiped my fake tears. Stay close to them. Record everything. The rest of the day brought a parade of lawyers, each meeting pushing Tyrone and Celeste closer to the edge. I watched through various feeds as they argued in whispers, their perfect plan showing cracks. The doctor's going to ruin everything, Celeste hissed in the parking lot. He'll do his job, Tyrone snapped, or he'll regret it. I sent that recording straight to Morgan. Late that evening, Dr. Nelson called an unexpected session. He looked exhausted. Your husband provided records of unusual purchases, he said. Large withdrawals, expensive donations. To the wildlife sanctuaries? I twisted my hands. But those were approved. I have the paperwork. Paperwork? In my office. The blue folder marked charitable giving, right next to the original prenup. His pen stopped moving. Original prenup? I covered my mouth. Oh no. Was I not supposed to mention that? After he left, I watched him make 3 phone calls and pull up my complete financial records. The seed of doubt had bloomed into full suspicion. Morgan visited one last time that night. Everything's ready for tomorrow. The trust documents, the recordings, the bank records. Are you sure about this? Once we start. They tried to bury me, I said simply. I don't rise quietly. A commotion outside drew our attention. Through the window, we watched Celeste screaming at Tyrone in the parking lot. Fix this. She shoved him. Fix it now. Keep your voice down. He grabbed her arm. Don't touch me. This was your idea. Your perfect plan to get her money. And now what? Dr. Nelson's voice cut through their fight. He stood nearby, holding his phone. Recording. They froze. Celeste recovered first, smoothing her dress. Doctor, we were just discussing your sister-in-law's money? His voice was ice. The money you seem very concerned about accessing after tomorrow's hearing. You don't understand, Tyrone started. I think I understand perfectly. I turned away from the window, smiling. Morgan raised an eyebrow. Did you plan that too? No. I sat on my bed. That was just karma doing its job. Later, alone in my room, I reviewed my statement for tomorrow's hearing. Simple, emotional, devastating. Everything they thought they knew about me, the quiet wife, the generous sister-in-law, the unstable patient, would shatter in that courtroom. My phone buzzed. Dr. Nelson. I'm beginning to wonder if this evaluation is a mistake, I replied with a single line. Sometimes the crazy ones aren't the ones in the hospital beds. Tomorrow would change everything, and I was ready. The courtroom buzzed with tension. Celeste wore white, like she was attending a victory celebration. Tyrone sat beside her, jaw clenched, still nursing a hangover from last night's meltdown. Morgan touched my arm. Ready? I nodded, keeping my eyes down, playing the fragile wife one last time. Judge Patrick entered, and the room stood. He reviewed the papers before him, frowning slightly. This is a competency hearing regarding Jessica's financial and personal affairs, he announced. Let's begin with the petitioner's statement. Tyrone's lawyer stood, oozing fake sympathy. Your Honor, we're here today because a beloved wife and sister-in-law needs help. Jessica's erratic behavior, her unstable spending, I watched Dr. Nelson shift uncomfortably in his seat. We have documentation of concerning incidents, the lawyer continued. Paranoid accusations, massive unauthorized donations. Objection, Morgan stood. Those donations were all properly documented and authorized. Overruled, Judge Patrick said. But noted. Celeste took the stand first, tears ready. We just want to help her. She's been so confused lately, accusing us of terrible things. Like stealing? Morgan asked during cross-examination. She's paranoid. So you never used her credit cards for personal purchases? Never planned trips to Paris with her money? Celeste's face tightened. I don't know what your social media posts suggest otherwise. Morgan held up printouts. Specifically, posts about new adventures and living the life we deserve, all tagged with Jessica's accounts. The judge leaned forward, interested. Dr. Nelson testified next, his testimony carefully worded. While Jessica shows signs of distress, I have concerns about the timing and nature of her supposed symptoms. Could you elaborate? Judge Patrick asked. Her episodes seemed to coincide with financial decisions that would benefit her husband and sister-in-law. Tyrone stood up, face red. This is ridiculous. She needs help. Mr. Bell, sit down, the judge warned. Morgan caught my eye and nodded. Time for the final act. Your Honor, she said, before we continue, I'd like to submit Jessica's final directive into evidence, a document she prepared before any of these supposed episodes began. Celeste's smile froze. Tyrone's face went pale. The directive outlines her estate plans and includes some interesting conditions. Morgan handed copies to the court. I watched as Judge Patrick read, his eyebrows rising. Tyrone's lawyer frantically flipped through pages. This directive, Morgan continued, transfers the bulk of Jessica's estate to a wildlife sanctuary trust, a trust that's already been legally established and funded. What? Celeste shrieked, composure shattering. The remaining assets, Morgan pressed on, provide weekly stipends to Tyrone and Celeste Bell, conditional upon documented community service hours, specifically manual labor at local charities. The courtroom erupted. Tyrone jumped up again. This is insane. She can't. The directive is dated 6 months ago, Judge Patrick noted, well before any reported mental health concerns, and it appears properly witnessed and notarized. There's more, Morgan said. We have audio recordings. She played the wine cellar conversation. Celeste's voice filled the courtroom. Once we get control, she can rot in there while we live the life we deserve. Tyrone's voice followed. The doctor will say what we tell him to say. Dr. Nelson's face darkened. The judge's expression turned stormy. Your Honor, Morgan continued, we also have bank records showing systematic theft, forged signatures, and evidence of a coordinated plan to have my client falsely committed. Celeste started crying, real tears this time. Tyrone's lawyer whispered urgently to him. Furthermore, Morgan added, we request an immediate investigation into potential financial abuse and conspiracy. Judge Patrick studied me. Jessica, do you wish to make a statement? I stood slowly, dropping the meek act. Yes, Your Honor. I'd like to address my family. Turning to Tyrone and Celeste, I smiled. Not the weak smile they were used to, but one that made them flinch. You thought I was the perfect victim. Quiet, trusting, generous to a fault. You never wondered why I documented everything, why I let you think you were winning. Celeste started to speak, but I cut her off. The wildlife sanctuary opens next month. They're always looking for volunteers to clean cages. I hear it's very therapeutic. This is outrageous, Tyrone stood again. Your Honor. Sit down, Mr. Bell, Judge Patrick snapped. Based on this evidence, I'm not only dismissing your petition, I'm ordering a full investigation into your actions. Bailiff, please ensure Mr. and Mrs. Bell remain available for questioning. I watched them crumble, their perfect plan destroyed by their own recorded words and actions. Celeste had to be helped from the courtroom, her designer dress wrinkled from her shaking. Morgan gathered our papers, smiling slightly. Ready to go home? I looked at Tyrone one last time as security led him away. Yes, to my home, alone. The trust was secure. The sanctuary was funded. And justice, real justice, had finally been served. The courtroom erupted into chaos the moment Judge Patrick called for the investigation. "You can't do this!" Celeste lunged forward, her perfect white dress now wrinkled and tear-stained. "She's manipulating everyone. She's the crazy one." Two bailiffs moved to restrain her as she tried to reach me. "We did everything for you. Everything." I stood calmly, watching her mask completely shatter. "No, Celeste. You did everything for yourself. My money, my house, my life. You just forgot one thing." "What?" she spat. "I'm not as stupid as you needed me to be." Tyrone remained frozen in his seat, staring at the final directive like he could make it disappear. His lawyer was already backing away, distancing himself from the impending disaster. "The USB," I said to Morgan, who nodded and approached the judge. "Your Honor, we have additional evidence." She handed over the drive. Audio recordings from the wine cellar, bank transfer records, and social media posts documenting the defendant's plans. The courthouse computer played Celeste's voice. "Once we get her committed, we'll sell the art collection. I already have buyers lined up." Then Tyrone, "The doctor's eating up everything we tell him. A few more episodes, and we're set." Dr. Nelson stood up. "Your Honor, I'd like to formally withdraw my previous evaluation and submit a new statement regarding potential manipulation by Mr. Bell and his sister." Celeste started screaming again, this time at Tyrone. "Fix this! You promised me Paris. You promised me everything." "Mrs. Bell," Judge Patrick's voice cut through her hysteria, "I suggest you calm down before I have you removed." Morgan touched my arm. "There's press outside. Ready?" I nodded, gathering my things. As we stood to leave, Tyrone finally moved, reaching for me. "Jesse, please, we can explain." "Explain what?" I turned to face him. "The medication you slipped into my tea? The cameras you installed to monitor me? Or maybe explain the offshore account you opened last month?" His face went white. He hadn't known I'd found that. "Mr. Bell," a stern-faced detective approached. "We have some questions about those financial records." I walked past them both, head high. In the hallway, reporters shouted questions. "Jessica, did you know about their plan? Was the psychiatric evaluation fake? What about the wildlife sanctuary?" Morgan guided me through the crowd, but I stopped at the courthouse steps, turned to face the cameras. "They never asked what I wanted," I said clearly. "They only assumed it was them." Back inside, we could hear Celeste having a complete breakdown. Security was calling for medical assistance. "The irony," Morgan muttered. Dr. Nelson caught up with us. "Jessica, I owe you an apology. I should have seen—" "You saw exactly what they wanted you to see," I said, "until you didn't. Thank you for being honest in the end." Chloe waited by Morgan's car, grinning. "You should see their social media. Everyone's turning on them. Celeste's friends are already distancing themselves." "Speaking of distance," Morgan pulled out some papers. "The restraining orders are ready. They won't be allowed within 500 feet of you or the sanctuary." Through the courthouse windows, we watched Tyrone being led to a police car while Celeste was sedated by paramedics. Their perfect world had crumbled in less than an hour. "What happens to them now?" Chloe asked. "They get exactly what they deserve," I said. "If they want money, they'll earn it. Cleaning animal cages, serving at soup kitchens, doing the kind of work they thought was beneath them. All documented and submitted weekly, just like the trust requires. And if they refuse, then they get nothing." My phone buzzed with messages from their social circle. Former friends suddenly remembering my generosity and denouncing Tyrone and Celeste's horrible behavior. I deleted them all. Morgan started the car. Ready to go home? Home. Not the mansion they'd tried to steal, but my new place. Smaller, peaceful, close to the sanctuary. Just one more thing. I turned to Chloe. Thank you. For choosing the right side. She smiled. They never saw us coming, did they? That's the thing about people like them, I said, watching Tyrone's police car pull away. They're so focused on what they want to take, they never see what they're about to lose. As we drove away, I caught a final glimpse of Celeste being loaded into an ambulance, still crying about Paris, about the life she'd thought she deserved. They'd tried to write me off as crazy, unstable, unfit. Instead, they'd written their own downfall, word by word, lie by lie, and I'd kept every single receipt. The morning sun painted long shadows across the wildlife sanctuary's grounds as I walked the perimeter fence. A red-tailed hawk circled overhead, free and watchful. The new enclosure is almost ready. Dr. Martinez, our head veterinarian, fell into step beside me. 3 more rescued tigers coming next week. Perfect timing. I checked my phone. Another notification from Morgan. Speaking of perfect timing, she'd sent a news article link. Socialite Celeste Bell spotted cleaning city buses. The photo showed my former sister-in-law, designer clothes, replaced by an orange safety vest, scrubbing graffiti under supervision. Your weekly report, Mrs. Bell. The sanctuary's administrator handed me a folder, including the community service documentation. Inside were photos of Tyrone at the homeless shelter, dark circles under his eyes as he served breakfast. His once manicured hands now rough from manual labor. They're actually showing up, I mused. Money's a powerful motivator, the administrator smiled. Especially when you have none. My phone buzzed again. Dr. Nelson this time. Thought you'd want to know. The investigation concluded. Criminal charges filed. I texted back. Karma keeps better receipts than I do. A commotion near the main gate drew our attention. Chloe was arguing with someone. Please, Celeste's voice carried across the grounds. I just need to talk to her. I approached slowly. Celeste looked different. Thinner, cheaper clothes, the entitled edge gone from her posture. You're violating the restraining order, I said calmly. Jessica. She gripped the fence. We're family. We made a mistake. Please. Family? I cut her off. Family doesn't plot to institutionalize each other. Family doesn't steal. Family doesn't... We were desperate. She was crying now. Tyrone's business failed. My debts. So you decided to destroy me? I stepped closer. To drug me? Gaslight me? Take everything I'd freely shared? I'm sorry. No, I met her eyes. You're sorry you got caught. Sorry you have to work for money now. Sorry your fancy friends abandoned you. But you're not sorry for what you did. Security approached, but I waved them back. The trust requirements stand, I said. Want money? Earn it. Help people. Learn what real generosity looks like. You're enjoying this, she accused. Watching us suffer. No, Celeste. I'm enjoying watching you learn. I turned to leave. By the way, how is Paris? Her sob followed me as security escorted her out. Inside the sanctuary's main building, Morgan waited with more papers. Tyrone's lawyer reached out, she said. He's offering a deal. No deals. I watched through the window as Celeste's cheap car disappeared down the road. They chose this ending. Speaking of endings, Morgan nodded toward the television mounted on the wall. The local news showed Tyrone outside the homeless shelter, reporters shouting questions. Mr. Bell. Comment on the criminal charges. How does it feel working for minimum wage? Any response to the evidence of systematic abuse? He looked directly into the camera, and for a moment I saw the man I'd married. Charming, manipulative, sure he could talk his way out of anything. My wife, he started. Ex-wife, Morgan corrected, though he couldn't hear her. is a generous woman. We hope she'll find it in her heart. I switched off the TV. Some people never learn. Chloe brought coffee and the morning's documentation, photos and timesheets from various charities where Tyrone and Celeste had worked. They're actually helping people, she noted, even if they hate it. That's the point. I sipped my coffee. They wanted my money? Fine. But now they have to earn it by making the world better. Through the window, I watched sanctuary volunteers preparing for the new tigers. Real people doing real work. No hidden agendas. No manipulation. Was it worth it? Chloe asked quietly. The planning, the pain, the betrayal? A cry from above drew my attention. The hawk still circled, riding thermals, completely free. They tried to cage me, I said, to clip my wings and take my sky. But they forgot something important. What's that? I don't rise quietly. I smiled as the hawk dove, swift and sure. And I don't cage well. Morgan gathered her papers. The sanctuary's thriving. Their reputations are ruined. Justice is served. Ready to close this chapter? I thought about Celeste's tears, Tyrone's fake remorse, the life they'd tried to steal. About karma and consequences and the price of betrayal. No, I said, watching the hawk soar away. Let them crawl for every cent. Let them learn what real work feels like. Let them remember, every single day, that they buried me too early. The morning sun climbed higher, warming the sanctuary grounds. Somewhere in the city, Tyrone and Celeste were starting another day of mandated service, earning back, penny by penny, what they'd tried to steal. But me? I was exactly where I belonged. Free, strong, and watching from above. They never asked what I wanted. They never thought I'd fight back. That was their first mistake, and their last.